All right, so we're diving into some seriously cool stuff today.
Yeah.
We're talking Bitcoin, Nostr, AI, the whole shebang.
Yeah, it's a wild ride through the future, really.
Totally. And, we couldn't resist this deep dive, especially with this chat between Ben Ark and Peter McCormack that everyone's been buzzing about.
Right. They just get it.
For sure. And one of the first things that jumped out, at least for me, was this whole walled garden thing with social media. Like, they really went there, huh?
Oh, absolutely. They're basically saying what we've all kind of felt, right? Like with Twitter, for example. You're free to use it, sure, but it's their playground, their rules. You're not really in control of your data or how it's being used.
Yeah, it's that feeling when you post something and you're like, will this get buried? Or am I shadow banned? It's like walking on eggshells sometimes.
Exactly. And that's exactly the problem these guys are tackling. But then they bring up Nostr, and honestly, it sounds kind of sci-fi at first.
It does. So break it down for us. What is Nostr, and how does it actually fix this whole centralized control thing?
Okay, so Nostr, it stands for notes and other stuff transmitted by relays.
Yeah.
Catchy, right?
Sure, I get it. But what does it actually do?
Okay, so basically picture this. Instead of Twitter, where it's all controlled by one company, Nostr is spread out on this network of computers, like relays.
Okay, I'm kind of following.
So these relays, they all work together to host and share content. But here's the kicker. With Nostr, you actually hold the keys to your own data. You decide where it goes, who sees it, the whole 9 yards.
Whoa, wait, so no more algorithms secretly deciding what pops up on my feed?
Nope. You're in the driver's seat. No more shadow bans, no more worrying if your account's going to disappear overnight. It's all about user control.
Now that's empowering. But, okay, I have to ask, how does this tie back to Bitcoin? They seem kind of separate.
Good point. It's all about decentralization, right? Just like Nostr disrupts the whole social media dominance thing, Bitcoin does the same, but with, well, money.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
But both of them challenge the old systems, offering a new way of doing things, a decentralized way. Bitcoin puts you in control of your own money. No more banks, no more middlemen, just you and your Bitcoin.
So it's all about freedom, basically. Freedom online, freedom with your money.
Precisely. But when we talk about Bitcoin specifically, things get really interesting with this whole HO dealing versus spending debate. Ark and McCormick dive into that too.
Yeah, it's like everyone's got an opinion on how to Bitcoin the right way. So for those who might be new to this, break down the whole HODL thing for us.
Right, so AOGL, and yeah, it started as a typo, funny enough. It basically means holding on to your Bitcoin long term. Think of it like an investment.
Yeah.
You're holding on to it, hoping it goes up in value way down the line.
Makes sense. But then some people use it like everyday cash, right?
Exactly. And that's the core of the debate. Is Bitcoin a store of value, something you hold on to like digital gold? Or is it meant to be spent like any other currency?
It's a tough one. It's like that age-old dilemma, do you spend now or save for later?
Right. Except with Bitcoin, the stakes seem way higher. And it gets even more complex when they bring up retirement planning.
Whoa, Bitcoin for retirement. That's a
Huh.
whole other level.
Tell me about it. They actually suggest that holding on to, say, 1 or 2 Bitcoin could be like a healthy pension down the line. It's definitely a different way of thinking about retirement. Like, could Bitcoin really be an alternative to the traditional systems we've always relied on?
It's a bold statement for sure. But, they're not all sunshine and rainbows about it either. They bring up the social pressure paradox, which, let's be real, is something a lot of us have probably faced in one way or another.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine trying to explain to your family who are used to 401ks and traditional investments that you're betting on Bitcoin for your golden years. It's not exactly a walk in the park.
Yeah, and especially if the price of Bitcoin skyrockets and you're sitting on a gold line. It's like, do you cash out to appease everyone or stick to your guns and face the music?
Exactly. It's tough because you're basically challenging their whole worldview, their understanding of money and security. It highlights just how deeply ingrained those traditional systems are in our culture.
And how hard it can be to break free from those norms,
Mm.
even when you believe there's a better way. And it's not just family, right? Ark and McCormack even talk about this conference fatigue happening within the Bitcoin community itself.
Yeah.
Like even the diehards are getting tired of the same old conversations.
Yeah, it's like they're over the hype. They're ready to move past the price fluctuations and really dig into the bigger picture of what decentralization could mean.
So it's not just about Bitcoin going up or down. It's about the potential it represents.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about the shift in power, the possibilities it opens up. And that's where things get really interesting because they bring up AI.
AI. Now we're talking. Feels like everyone's got an opinion on AI these days. Some good, some, well, kind of terrifying.
It is a bit of a wild card, isn't it? But Ark and McCormack, they draw this really interesting analogy comparing AI to children, like children growing up and becoming, well, smarter than their parents.
Okay, I can see where this is going.
It makes you wonder, right? Like, what happens when we create something that's more intelligent than us? What does that mean for humanity's future?
That's the million-dollar question for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, are we talking about a future where AI is helping us solve problems? Or are we talking about, robots taking over the world?
Right. It's both exciting and a little scary at the same time. And to be fair, Ark and McCormack, they don't shy away from either side. They talk about the potential benefits of AI, but they also acknowledge the risks.
And as with most things, it all comes down to control, doesn't it? Who's in control of this technology and how do we make sure it's used for good?
Exactly. And it's interesting because just like with Bitcoin and Nostr, the idea of decentralization comes up again with AI.
So are they saying that a decentralized approach to AI is the answer?
It's definitely something they bring up. Like, if the power of AI isn't concentrated in the hands of a few big companies or governments, maybe that makes it less risky.
Yeah, that makes sense. But then again, if it's decentralized, who's holding it accountable? It's a tough one.
It really is. There's no easy answer, no clear roadmap for how to navigate this. It's uncharted territory.
It's like we're standing on the edge of something truly revolutionary with all these technologies, but we have no idea what's on the other side.
That's a great way to put it. It's both exciting and a little daunting, right?
It's like we're looking at a fork in the road. One path leads us down the same old centralized way of doing things, and the other, well, it's this whole new world of decentralization. It's exciting, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a little scary, too.
I get it. It's definitely uncharted territory. But you know what I appreciate about Ark and McCormack is that they're not trying to shove either path down our throats. They're not saying, this is the right way, the only way.
It's more like they're saying, hey, here are the tools, here's the potential, now let's figure this out together.
Exactly. It's all about empowering individuals, giving people the information and the tools to make their own choices.
So it's not about blindly following the hype or jumping on the bandwagon. It's about understanding these technologies and how they can be used to shape the future we actually want to see.
100%. And that starts with, well, conversations like this, asking the tough questions, educating ourselves and each other. Because, let's be real, there are no easy answers here.
Nope, definitely not. So for our listeners who are just as fascinated by this whole decentralized future as we are, what would you say is the most important thing to take away from all of this?
That's a good question. I think it boils down to agency. These technologies, they give us a level of control that we just don't have with traditional centralized systems. Whether it's Bitcoin giving you financial freedom or Nostra letting you own your data, it's all about putting the power back in the hands of individuals.
It's like saying you're not just along for the ride. You actually get a say in how this story unfolds.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe the next big breakthrough, the next Bitcoin or Nostr, will come from someone who's listening right now, someone who's been paying attention, asking questions, and imagining a different kind of future.
So to everyone listening, that's our challenge to you. Dive in, get curious, and don't be afraid to question everything. The future isn't set in stone. We're all writing it together, one line of code at a time.